The fight to avoid relegation. Hull Kingston Rovers have only been in Division 2 twice, but a defeat tonight against Leigh and they might go down. It's a vital night for the Robins here at Craven Park. It's do or die for Rovers tonight and their long-serving fullback Mike Fletcher. He's seen it all before, but if they are to survive in the big league, they must win tonight. Wayne Parker's the man who makes Rovers tick. The skipper hasn't missed a league game all season and is a survivor from the glory days of the 80s when the Robins dominated the game. Julian Barkworth wasn't around then. He had a smile on his face, though, in scoring 2 tries against Saints last time on Sky. A narrow defeat, but that's been the story of their season. John Glancy has left Wakefield struggle against relegation to join the Rovers dogfight. His driving runs have been a feature of the Wakefield side for the past 6 seasons. Leigh have the youngest side in the big league. Simon Baldwin turns 19 next week, with a host of experience behind him already. John Gunning at 24 is a comparative veteran, though he came into the professional game late, signing only last year. And Dean Hanger is the unsung hero, a fine Aussie import, as Leigh's battle against relegation's been lost. He's their leading scorer with 11 tries so far. John Costello will remember Hull KR throughout his career. He grabbed his first ever big league try against them last November, and he's taken his chance well. But it's big league survival that's top of the agenda tonight. Match referee this evening is Russell Smith from Castleford. He was our official just 7 days ago in the Water Splash Big League at the Willows. It's a lot drier underfoot here tonight. There's always a drying wind that blows down Craven Park, and this evening is no exception. It's a bitterly cold spring evening. Mike Fletcher, the Hull Kingston Rovers fullback at 26. 66 goals from him this season. 7 goals against Leigh here last season. And Fletcher the man with the kicking responsibility again tonight. So this vital match for Hull Kingston Rovers against Leigh at the bottom of the Stones Bidder Championship. It's the Rovers who are going to get us underway. Mike Fletcher will kick off. And Steve-O can't tell you how vital this game is for the Robins.
They realise it's survival time and they know that they've got to be breathing down the neck of Wakefield and Oldham. 2 points, that's what they're after tonight. And do you know something? I just think they may sneak it.
It's Leigh in possession. They have a penalty for stealing the ball in the tackle. Let's take a quick check on the Hull Kingston Rovers side. Fletcher, Barkworth, Hutchinson, Bibby, Oliver, Ho and Parker the captain. And the forwards Jackson, Titch-Chamberlain, Glancy, Harrison, O'Brien and Fletcher. And the substitutes Mike Crane and Nick Halafihi.
Well, what a mistake there from the loose forward Simon Baldwin. He failed to find touch, and then what happens? Julian Barkworth made a real meal of that, and Leigh have got away with it.
Yes, it's Leigh who have the feed at the scrum. It's John Gunning who is feeding for them today in 7. There's their team: Webster, Cheetham, Hanger, Sarsfield, Pratt, Martin and Gunning, who takes over from the experienced Pendlebury. And it's Costello, Rowley, Meadows, the captain, Collier, Daniel and Baldwin up front, with the substitutes Mike Blakely and Mike Neal. Leigh are in possession. It's their loose forward Baldwin driving that ball downfield, but good tackling coming in from the Rovers. Rowley is the dummy half. Quickly through the hands of the second rowers, Collier and Daniel. Daniel is halted. The Rovers know just how vital this match is for them. They're coming into this having lost 6 successive league games since January. They must win here tonight. Good run there from Mark Meadows, captain for the evening of Leigh. Rowley again is the dummy half. Chamberlain, his opposite number, the man doing the tackling to bring him down. That's the last tackle. Leigh haven't made too much progress on this set of 6. Chip over the top was from Gunning. Collected by the winger Oliver. Richard Oliver making his first appearance since January. Fletcher, such an important cog in this Rovers wheel. Always seems to have a good game too when our cameras are trained on the Rovers.
Yes, he likes the TV, that is for sure. That was a good run though. Synonymous with the attitude of the fullback Mike Fletcher. Loves to chime into the three-quarter line at any given time.
Paul Fletcher with that run. Rovers are still penned in their own half of the field. It's now in the arms of Parker. He sweeps the ball across the face of play, and a stumble by second rower O'Brien. Sean Ho's gone into dummy half. He finds Parker. Oh, that's risky business. And Leigh have the ball back courtesy of Rowley. It's play on, says referee Russell Smith. And Fletcher has to move up quickly to pull the young hooker down. Obviously the nerves playing a part here for Rovers.
Well, it took an eternity there for Richard Chamberlain, the Rovers hooker. Loose ball on the ground, as you mentioned, nerves. It's so important for either side to get points on the board early, especially Leigh, of course. They had a game midweek.
Yes, they did. They lost that to Warrington at Hilton Park on Tuesday evening. A creditable performance, though, that night. Only Jonathan Davis, really, the difference between the two sides. This is Scott Martin, who has moved into standoff half tonight to cope with the absence of Pendlebury, as Seven is gunning. That's lovely play from Gunning, but straight into the arms of Chamberlain, and he drops on it 10 metres from his own line.
He wasn't going to make a mistake this time, the Rovers hooker. Chamberlain really down into it, but it's a nice little kick there from Gunning. He's an enterprising player, likes to go solo, especially with the little chips like that.
Harrison with that run for Rovers. He's been in magnificent form in this troubled season for the Robins. Chamberlain gets the ball away to Glancy, formerly with Wakefield Trinity. Runs like that have really helped Wakefield Trinity, but he has swapped relegation dogfight for relegation dogfight, and Leigh are all offside at that play the ball. Penalty on halfway.
Bit of a stumble, bit of a mix-up at the play the ball, actually. But the referee, Russell Smith, not happy, and you can see quite clearly that quite a few of the Leigh players a little bit eager, over anxious. Well, this Rovers side, they don't possess many great stars. A lot of effort, but they can score some good tries. Their big problem, as you mentioned, Eddie, is their defence.
Yes, defence has been a problem for both these two sides as Jackson drives that ball in for Rovers. We're watching the two worst defences in the big league this season. Both of them have conceded over 600 tries. Sean Ho, 600 points rather, not tries. That would be an enormous total, wouldn't it? 600 points. Chamberlain, and this now is Parker. Parker gets the ball away neatly, but good defence again from Leigh. No way through then for Glancy. Chamberlain, Parker again. Parker with a little dab forward, and Webster, the full-back for Leigh, shuttling across, picking up the loose ball, and then he's dumped to the floor by Fletcher.
Good position there from the full-back, Webster. Read it well, anticipated that the kick was going to be coming in. A little bit of over-eagerness there. You can see loose forward just piling on top.
Yes, Fletcher not allowing Webster to get his feet after he had cleared up that attack, so penalty Leigh. This relieves the pressure slightly. Leigh, who went 19 matches unbeaten before claiming their first win, but with the pressure off, they have run some of the top teams very, very close indeed, including Wigan and Warrington, and they've beaten Bradford just recently. So when they have their tails up, Leigh can play.
That's been the amazing facet about their season, really, is that when they play the top sides, they really have lifted their game. Generally a very young side, and full credit to their coach Steve Sims. He's done extremely well.
Webster with that run, halted by Chris Harrison. Yes, telling us just before the kickoff, this is a team of bachelors. There's not one married man in the Leigh side, and the average age tonight about 21. But that is a mistake from Mark Sarsfield, one of the more experienced heads, and he's 23 this week.
Well, trying to bring the ball back inside, and Sarsfield never really in control of it. Scott Martin, the loose forward, trying to switch the pattern of play, trying to break down the defence.
Offside against the Leigh scrum half, John Gunning, coming round the scrum far too quickly.
Saw the referee point, wave his arm to the ground, meaning that you see on the replay that the halfback has to stay behind the loose forward's feet until the ball has cleared the back of the scrum. For those viewers that are new to our game.
0-0 then, 7.5 minutes gone. The drive from Glancy, head-to-head over the years. 16 to Rovers and 8 to Leigh. And they have an awful record here at Craven Park to Leigh. The Rovers in possession hope that that poor record will continue. This is Harrison. He gets the ball away, but the scrambling defence from Leigh stands firm. Now it's Parker. That's a good ball, calling the loose forward Fletcher onto it.
Always looking, isn't he, the half-back Wayne Parker, trying to just prise open the defence.
Here he is again. Fletcher can go nowhere. It's a question, really, I think, of how long Leigh can withstand this sort of pressure, bearing in mind the fact they had that match on Tuesday. Here's Fletcher, though, now. Pops the ball over the top into the arms of winger Oliver. And Oliver can do nothing other than just fine touch.
Well, not the best option there. He tried to grub a kick it through when perhaps he would be better being suited to have kicked across the face towards the goalpost.
Referee Russell Smith telling the Rovers players to all stay on side as Parker came round the back of the scrum and tackled Gunning. It was Baldwin who forces the error, does the tackle. It's with Harrison. Wasn't the best run from the winger Gareth Pratt, and he lost the ball 10 metres from his own line. Chances here for the Robins. Fletcher, they've got a man out wide, it's Oliver. Fletcher won't need it, he's going all the way and gets it down, does he? He's held up on his back over the line. Well, Fletcher, the fullback, cannot believe this.
Well, he threw the dummy right, and there you can see Gunning did the right thing. He covered the ball and then rolled the fullback Fletcher over. Great strength from the little halfback, John Gunning.
Rovers with head and feed because, of course, they were the attacking side. They got the ball down. They're trying to move it quickly here. Hutchinson, tall, long-striding centre Hutchinson, formerly with Halifax. And now O'Brien going for the line, and again Leigh hold him back. These are desperate moments for Leigh, and so important, really, that Rovers get points on the board from all this pressure. Mike Fletcher with that drive again.
Super defence. They're really out on the rack.
Chamberlain to Parker once more. The short ball. It's good play, this, from Harrison. He just couldn't get the ball away. It's good from them. It's great defence from Leigh. Chamberlain again, and Parker. The gaps appearing, and the big prop forwards through. That's Wayne Jackson. His first try ever for Hull Kingston Rovers, and what a match to pick to get off the mark.
All the probing from the halfback Wayne Parker has finally paid off. A nice pass there, and the big prop forward coming on with plenty of steam. Quick play the ball, but it was the delayed pass there at the right time. The strength was enough, and Wayne Jackson, his first try for the club, and it could not have come at a better time.
Yes, his first big league try in almost 4 years of trying for Wayne Jackson. And now Mike Fletcher, with 66 goals this season, from bang in front, should make it 67, and he does, and that's exactly the start that Hull Kingston Rovers wanted. And after all that pressure, they get their reward, 6-0.
You see the dummy man, Parker misses him out, that's the one circled, but the man that's going to score goes out wide. That's how the gap was produced, and that was well taken from the prop forward.
So Leigh trailing by 6 points to 0 on this jinx of a ground for them. Their last win of any kind here came in the 1982 Challenge Cup tie, 18-17. Since then, 9 successive defeats in league and cup. Chamberlain in possession for Rovers.
Well, we said that it was desperation for the Rovers tonight. They've got off to the start that they wanted. 12 minutes into this game, 6 points up. And that really will have lifted their spirits. The forwards have been running exceptionally hard. And when you've got a man like Wayne Parker, he's the man that's organising things out there. He's a talented player.
Just let me stress that record that Rovers have got against Leigh up here on Humberside. That last win in the Challenge Cup was at the old Craven Park. They've since moved to the new Craven Park, so Leigh have never ever won here on this ground. Good kick downfield from the scrum half Parker. Big gap. Webster is there. Gareth Pratt is there. Pratt, the winger, picks up. He's being tracked by Paul Fletcher, but in the end he's wheeled in by Chamberlain. That has certainly given Rovers a bit of hope, that early try.
Oh, that was high. Referee Russell Smith straight away. You can see the swinging arm. No doubt about it from the big second rower. Harrison. Bump. And referee Russell Smith having no hesitation.
Chris Harrison trying 2 of Rovers' wins against Bradford and Leigh. Steve Sims, the Leigh coach, up against it again, but it's familiar territory for him this season. Only 5 points at the bottom of the table, on their way to the second division. But his team do play reasonably good football, there's no doubt about that, and this young side will certainly be able to benefit from a season in Division 2 and come back much the stronger. Daniel with the drive.
To be fair to them, they've got nothing to lose. They can try everything. The pressure is off. They virtually know.
Meadows with the run. Lovely support from Rowley. They're in here. Rowley skates home. And Rovers' defence goes to sleep, and Leigh make them pay. Paul Rowley, try number 6 of this season.
Good run from the prop forward, Mark Meadows. The real strength there. Look at him chiming through and then gives the ball at the right moment. Superb support. Paul Rowley, and he has got the speed. Look at that. Not a finger laid upon him. Superb support play. But this is how to run onto a football at full speed. They expected the run around. You can see they held back. It was Chris Harrison that just hesitated. There was no chance there. Rob Hutchinson had no chance to get to him, and neither had Wayne Parker. And that is a well-taken try from the hooker.
A hooker who is an outstanding prospect, Paul Rowley. He's missed just 1 game this season, formerly with the Leigh Miners Amateur Club. And here's another outstanding youngster too, Simon Baldwin. And with the inside of the boot, he clips the ball over the top of that crossbar. And all Hull Kingston Rovers' good work's been wiped out. Leigh have hit back, 6-all.
There he is, the second row, and he's not moved up in a 1 line. And I'm afraid that's all he takes. Just that little bit of a hesitation. And the big prop forward, Mark Meadows, made the gap. And this guy, he finished it.
So 6 points all. Hull Kingston Rovers, having taken the lead, have seen it pegged back by Leigh. 15.5 minutes gone. Gunning is underneath it, and he finds Paul Daniel. Daniel is cut down. O'Brien and Chamberlain. And there's the man who made that try with a drive just like that, Mark Meadows, trying to milk the penalty off Chris Harrison. Referee unimpressed. That's a nice run from Collier. The ball went backwards first time, but it didn't go backwards that time. Mark Meadows. Knock on.
2 seconds earlier, the hero, I'm afraid he's the villain on this occasion, bend down, try to take it on the half volley. Not up to it, I'm afraid.
Hutchinson for Hull Kingston Rovers. Gunning all over him. And Parker again, such an important player to this Rovers team. Hutchinson gets the ball away. Inevitably, it was Parker there to pick up the pieces. Quick hands here from Rovers, and Leigh could be in trouble. Good drive downfield by O'Brien. That was sweet play from Rovers. Chamberlain, the dummy half. Harrison with the drive in. And Meadows, the man doing the tackling, throwing himself at him, putting his body on the line. Losing the ball there is Harrison. Referee Russell Smith doesn't know, has a glance across, and
there'll be a penalty. There was interference, kicking at the foot. There you can see it. Now you can do that providing the ball has touched the ground first, but I'm afraid they did it well before the ball had been placed on terra firma.
Well, Russell Smith took an eternity to blow for that penalty. He checked with both touch judges. He's just explaining the rule there to the Leigh defence. And so Mike Fletcher from bang in front should restore Hull Kingston Rovers' lead here. 67 for the season. Check it, make it 68. And Hull Kingston Rovers ahead by 8 points to 6. Been a dreadful season for them here on Humberside. All three of their overseas signings, Lydiard, Hosking and Clark, are now home injured. This is the reason for the penalty. Meadows there making a slash for it with the boot before it hit the ground. So a vital night for Hull Kingston Rovers. They lead by 8 points to 6. And this is their winger, Richard Oliver. Leigh moving up quickly. Meadows and Rowley getting through a lot of work early on here. And that's Wayne Jackson. Forwards on both sides, Steve, are working hard. It's typical, really. They're trying to lay the platform for their backs to have a real go here against these two weak defences.
Well, both sides realise they've got match winners. They've also got people to organise things. Wayne Parker, as we mentioned, for the Hull Kingston Rovers side. Of course, Leigh, John Gunning, talented footballers. Oh, that looked high, and it was.
Costello pulled out for the tackle on Glancy.
It's a right one there. Impact on the shoulder. The swinging arm just went over the top. Either way, it's a punishable offence to attack anything above the shoulders. A little bit awkward sometimes. The big fellas like to get in and ball and all, and sometimes the arm ricochets up into the jaw region.
Noticing all these penalties, by the way, after that early penalty that didn't find touch from Leigh. Every one now has been taken with the ball placed on the field. The wind is a problem here. It always is. The run was from the prop forward Jackson. Parker finds John Glancy. Glancy, a man who's on loan from Wakefield Trinity. George Furban taking the gamble of trading in his leading scorer Bright Sodji for the prop forward. There's a mistake from Sean Ho early in the tackle count again.
Well, he never really took control of that. You could see they were working a move. They were bringing the full back, like Fletcher, in on the inside. He didn't take control of it then. A few mistakes coming from either side. Not surprising with some of the hard tackling that we've seen in the opening stanza.
The runner was Simon Baldwin for Leigh. Midway through this first half, 8-6. Rovers ahead. Costello gets the ball away. The fullback Webster picks up the pieces. Oh, quick hands, and it was too quick. The ball knocked forward one way, then the other, and it's the Rovers man who has it, I think. No, Leigh have it, so... the referee, yes.
Obviously a knock-on. Webster tried to swish on a fast ball as quickly as possible, but I'm afraid there was very little that the centre Mark Sarsfield could do with that. Full credit, though, to Leigh, even though they've had a bad season. Been down there at the bottom all throughout this big league season. But they do try to prize open the enterprise that they have displayed, especially later in this year, has been exceptional.
Well, the great escape that Leigh managed last season hasn't materialised second time round. And it's Leigh who occupy the bottom spot. Rovers are above them, second bottom in the table. A win tonight and they would move up a place, but still deep in relegation trouble. Sean Ho with possession for them. And Rovers, of course, the side that finished foot of the table last year, but because of the reorganisation of rugby league back to two divisions, they were saved from relegation. Harrison trying to force the pace, could only find the arms of Mark Meadows there.
Well, I think there might have been a little bit of a call there, but Meadows getting involved. What's amazing thing about this Leigh side is that 5 or 6 of them are actually of an age that could play for the academy if they wanted to.
Gunning with the ball inside. The second rower, Andy Collier, was hauled down. Gunning there again. This now is Martin. Rovers defending well on halfway. The ball came out, but it was stolen. The touch judge gave that, and no doubt at all. The crowd don't like it, Rovers don't like it, but it's a penalty, Leigh.
Bit of interference there from Rob Hutchinson, and of course the loose forward, Paul Fletcher. Scott Martin having a bit of trouble holding on to that one. It's good to see the touch judges, though, getting involved a lot more.
Meadows is halted 10 metres from the Rovers line. Referee Russell Smith marches the defensive line back to their own try line. Rowley, Webster scored his first try for Leigh on Tuesday against Warrington. He's just stopped 5 metres short. It's Paul Rowley who is directing operations, and Gunning, that ball will be allowed to continue in Leigh hands because it went backwards. Gunning picks up the pieces. Rowley again. Meadows is there. Good ball inside from Meadows, and that's almost through there, and it was Mark Sarsfield, but the ball was knocked down and Rovers escaped.
Well, he tried to flip the ball away just at the last moment. The chance was there, and a real schmozzle at the play of the ball, not allowing them to play the ball clearly.
Mark Sarsfield there, he was sent off after just 3 minutes of the game against Rovers at Leigh earlier in the season. So close here.
Well, look at that. The rule states you must clear the ruck. Having made the tackle, they've made no attempt.
Fletcher's penalty then. Rovers will try and run it out. Craig O'Brien adding some considerable weight to the Rovers' cause. No hint of the problems that were going to beset Hull Kingston Rovers early on when they beat St Helens and Bradford Northern here in the opening month. Since then, with their overseas signings injured and home, and virtually a first-choice pack all out injured, well, they have hit trouble and they have plummeted down the table and are now in the thick of the relegation battle. That's Mike Bibby, the dummy half. Good little scurrying run from him, hauled down by Andy Collier. Chatfield with nowhere to... Chamberlain, rather, with nowhere to go then.
Well, that was wasted, wasn't it? We just saw Mike Bibby do a great run from the dummy half, catch the Leigh defence going backwards, and then Richard Chamberlain went in at the dummy half position, and there was no one there to back him up.
High bomb from Parker. This could cause trouble. Webster drops it. Rovers have it back. It did cause trouble. It's 6 to go. Fletcher wants to get on with it. Leigh had better let go, otherwise they'll be conceding a penalty. But Rovers want 4. The ball out wide. Hutchinson! Try! Hutchinson! The chaos caused by the high kick. Webster missed it. And one tackle later, Rob Hutchinson with try number 4 of the season.
Take your chances, and from this mistake, a quick play of the ball, and the centre, Rob Hutchinson, in for the try. I'm afraid the Leigh defence was at 6s and 7s. You can see the loose forward, Paul Fletcher. The fullback, Dave Webster from Leigh, was thinking perhaps, now, did Mike Fletcher knock this ball on when he went down to play? Let's just have a look at this. Ooh, I'm not so sure, but the Russell Smith was right there. But inconclusive there, but this is not. This is a well-taken try.
Hutchinson with a try against his former club Halifax last Sunday. Fletcher with a difficult conversion in the breeze, but the crowd, I think, will tell you, and the flags most certainly do, that Fletcher is bang in form with the boot tonight. 14-6, the Rovers lead.
You can see the Leigh defence, 6s and 7s. One is actually nearly in his in-goal area. You can't afford to do that. The long ball out wide. They call it the sliding defence. Well, I'm afraid the wheels definitely fell off then. It was sliding nowhere.
Leigh restart, and that's out on the full. That's going to be a penalty to Hull Kingston Rovers right on the halfway line. Gunning with the kick-off, trying to put it deep. He put it far too deep.
You really have got to understand the swirling wind here at the New Craven Park. Right on the coast and the mouth of the Humber.
Well, the ferry boats tie up just a few hundred yards or so, it seems, away from the end that Rovers are defending in this first half. It's wide open to the elements. 14-6 though, Rovers lead. They're used to it up here. This is Paul Fletcher. Meadows, with a bit of help from Scott Martin to bring him down. Chamberlain, the dummy half. Parker feinted to go one way and then straightened up. Costello and Daniel, the defenders. Chamberlain again. Got forward is Wayne Jackson.
That's a good run from Jackson. You notice he's running at the angle. That was interference.
But he's ruled the knock on.
Well, dearie me, Wayne Jackson. A little bit of the foot in there, is my opinion.
Didn't look a bad decision.
You disagree with me, Eduardo?
Would I dare? Gunning with the run from the base of the scrum. Dean Hanger, we haven't seen much of Hanger so far tonight. Rovers obviously have done their homework. The coach, George Furban, one of the deep thinkers of the game. Excellent modern-day coach is Furban, and he's had a heck of a job on his hands here. But certainly he has worked hard this week and has tried to nullify the effect that Dean Hanger might have on this Stonesbitter Championship match. Webster with the run. Fullback chiming in. Rowley, the high kick. He saw it cause problems at one end. Oh, but Mike Fletcher's up to the task this time. He gets the ball away to Oliver too.
Good take there. Mike Fletcher, cool as a cucumber.
Jackson is hauled down. Crowd are beginning to lose a little bit of their cool. They feel that some of these lead tackles are a little high. Rovers in possession with Paul Fletcher. That's a good ball, and this is a great run from Bibby. Bibby is hauled down, and Leigh will try and hang on to him and prevent him getting to his feet. Quick play the ball here, and Leigh could have been in trouble. Parker chips the ball over the top. It's one for Barkworth to chase, and it just beats him the bounce. Parker knows he was so close to another try here.
I think Parker realises that perhaps Julian Barkworth could have taken that on the full. I can't understand why the wingman just held back. He hesitated. Perhaps he'd get the lucky bounce, but I think he probably could have taken that on the full. Well,
maybe offside was in his back of his mind, Steve-O.
You play to the whistle. Let the referee decide that for you. Get the ball first over in the in-goal area. Get the try and let him make the decision. But having said that, full credit to the Rovers. That was excellent play. Within 6 drives, they took it from their own line right into the Leigh quarter.
Neat run from the winger Andy Cheetham. And Mike Fletcher coming in to add his weight to stop that run. Here's Rowley. Gap appears. Parker is there, covering for his fullback who'd moved up.
Problem was, the little hooker Rowley had found the gap, but there was no support play. And look at that scrambling defence from the Hull KR side.
Yes, the Leigh players are starting to plod a bit. They are obviously feeling the effects of the big effort they put in against Warrington on Tuesday. It's one-man rugby, and there's a little knock-on from Scott Martin. The referee agrees.
Just lost it at the last moment. Trying to be adventurous. Talented youngster.
So it's Rovers who are going to have the head and feet at this scrum. Now up here on this excellent gantry at New Craven Park. The Rovers coach George Furban is watching, and downstairs his assistant Jed Dunn is with Bill Arthur.
Jed, the way your defence is playing, it must have been a relief to see that knock on just then.
Yeah, I think you're right. Just 1 or 2 holes to find in just these last few minutes. Yeah.
But going forwards, a lot more promising.
Well, we've got to pick the possession up. We were a bit concerned early on that we weren't getting enough possession, but when we've got the ball in our hands, we're looking quite forceful.
14-6. Do you think that's settled the nerves? Maybe.
Long way to go yet. We're fairly happy with that now. We could do with a bit more possession, fewer penalties, and I think we'll be okay.
Real scramble there. The ball says Russell Smith went backwards on every occasion. Here's a chance for Leigh to attack with Simon Baldwin. It was a great tackle in the end. Possession Well, you can see Hulkingston Rovers have got plenty, but look at this run down the wing from Hanger. Hanger in and out. Oh, breathtaking. Well, I said he's the star of the show for Leigh, and he has proved us right. Dean Hanger, he took a bang as he went over for that try. That's painful, but try number 12 of the season, and that's one of the best.
Individual skill supreme. Picked up from the dummy half, noticed that the blind side was weak, in and out. Superb play. Got a knock in the ribs there, but the smile says it all. He noticed that the blind side was weak. You could see that Julian Barkworth, who'd made the tackle, had gone into play and marked. That meant there was no one out there. In and out, and Dean Hanger. That's where he got the little knock in the ribs. And the 4 points, and he really did feel that one from the fullback Mike Fletcher.
Yes, he did, but he kept his cool, and he's been suffering with a cracked rib for a few weeks. And he obviously felt that little swinging arm from Fletcher. But Simon Baldwin now has the chance to put Leigh right back in the frame again. He's a right-footed kicker, so it's on the right side of the field for him. The wind is so important, and he's missed it. Just drifted away in the wind that blows from right to left as we watch. 14 points to 10, Rovers. A real struggle developing between the bottom two.
You can see the circle player coming backwards, and that's the route that Hanger takes. They've caught them on the hop. It's no good looking now and trying to tackle. The gap was there, and that is superb play and superb thinking.
Dean Hanger's try then. Leigh's leading scorer. Shallow kick-off, and it almost came off for Rovers, and a good job that Paul Rowley was there for Leigh. Gunning gets the ball away to Sarsfield. Sarsfield, the former witness man, had a period on loan at Leigh earlier in the season. Then the deal with Ruane and Sarsfield swapping clubs was completed, but he's been picked out here for the knock-on under all this pressure.
I think he did as well. Just lost control of it. Rather interesting to see that kick-off. We don't see many of those, the short one and just going over the 10-metre line. Most coaches are quite concerned that they want the ball right down into the opposition's corner.
Sometimes it comes off, and it nearly did then for Rovers. But they're back in possession now with Harrison. Real struggle between these bottom two in the big league, isn't it? 14-10, Rovers ahead into the last 5 minutes before half-time. Glancing with the run for Rovers. 4 blue and white jerseys of Leigh to greet him. Chamberlain, the dummy half. A good scuttling run from the hooker, taking Rovers to within 10 metres of the Leigh posts. Bang in front of the sticks too, Parker. Again, he's trying to engineer something here. What about releasing the ball in the tackle before he fell? Couldn't do so.
He was looking for the second phase of attack, it just wasn't there.
Mike Fletcher with the chip over the top. Oh, more confusion, and Webster has dropped another, and Rovers have come up with the try from Sean Ho.
Neat little kick from the fullback, Mike Fletcher. Beforehand, Webster made a bit of a meal of the last one, and once again, involvement there. In fact, it was 2 of his own players that allowed Sean Ho to take the advantage. You'll see Webster is put under pressure from his own 2 players. Look at that, they helped in the confusion. The confusion certainly wasn't going to number 6, Sean Ho. And the Rovers take the lead again.
Fletcher bang in front, 3 from 3. It's going to be 4 from 4. That is. They'll breathe a little easier now, the Rovers. 20 points to 10. But the kick over the top, Steve-O, has opened up this Leigh defence twice.
Well, it's a tactic that most coaches use, and the players are told to use it, and there's none better in this game than the fullback from Rovers, Mike Fletcher. All came about from a quick play of the ball. You could see that the 2 Leigh players were going backwards. They added to the confusion, put under a lot of pressure Dave Webster.
Nearly a little knock on behind his own line by Craig O'Brien. Good chase from the Leigh forwards trap him 15 metres from his own line. Here's Harrison, got through a lot of work. He's had an excellent season, George Fairbairn was telling me last night. Really has played well. Glancy has given them something extra too. Bit of a gamble, Steve-O, to trade in your leading scorer, Bright Sodji, on the wing for a forward, but if Rovers get out of trouble this season, it will have paid off.
Well, it's all down to cash, isn't it? That was the main reason. They really are in desperation straits. But tonight, they're showing some classy touches. We mentioned that both sides great on the attack, perhaps a few problems in defence, but I'll tell you something, we're going to get a good game. That wasn't very good, though, was it?
Gareth Pratt making a meal of it. The kick downfield was easy, really, but he just... Well, he was about 2 yards away from where he should have been, wasn't he?
Certainly was, and
he took a bit of stick as well, didn't he?
My word. Mike Bibby coming in with a swinging right arm.
Parker to Ho. Ho taking over again. This is Hutchinson. Struggles away from one. Can't get away from two. Good job that Sarsfield stuck to him then. But Rovers attacking down that right-hand side again with Paul Fletcher. And he thought about releasing the pass, then waited, took the tackle. Possession's paramount. Someone once said that. Harrison. They're 3 metres short of the line.
This is where the link is important. Parker will control things.
There he is. Parker dabs it through. It's a very deep in-goal area. Webster has to shuttle it dead. He's been under pressure, the Leigh full-back, hasn't he?
Really does control things, doesn't he, the number 7 Wayne Parker. Hawkinson Rovers skipper tonight. As Eddie mentioned, very deep in-goal area at Craven Park. And this Rovers side know only too well how to use it. And it nearly came off on that occasion.
That's a good drop out from under the sticks. Parker collects it, then says to Richard Oliver, well, go on, have a run at them. Takes play back 10 metres into the Leigh half of the field. We're approaching the end of normal time, first half. This run from Craig O'Brien. And there is the half-time siren, bang on time. And so it's Rovers who take with them a half-time lead. They have caused Leigh all sorts of problems with their kicking game. It's 20 points to 10 to Rovers, and just the sort of half that Rovers wanted, just the scoreline anyway.
You're watching
half-time here at New Craven Park, and Hulkingston Rovers ahead by 20 points to 10. 3 tries to 2. Jackson, Hutchinson and Ho, and Mike Fletcher with the impeccable goal kicking so far. Rowley and Hanger for Leigh, and the 1 goal from Simon Baldwin. Now then, what do the match facts tell us? Well, Leigh obviously having to do a lot more work, purely and simply because Hulkingston Rovers have had the better of the possession. Scrum 7-4, penalties 6-4, and the handling errors going Leigh's way as well, but that not the total that they would want to look at particularly. But it really is a battle down there at the foot of the table, isn't it? Hulkingston Rovers in second place, scrambling to avoid relegation along with Leigh. And Steve-O, it has combined really to make it an entertaining little match.
Well, I always thought it was going to be a good game because both sides are very good at attacking. The biggest problem, of course, is that they've got both defensive records which are woeful this season, and that has been a problem by both sides in the first 40 minutes. Trouble is with Leigh, they've also brought about their downfall by the fact they've made far too many unforced handling errors, and they can't afford to do that. They had a hard game midweek, and it's going to be a hard second half for them.
It is going to be a hard second half. We've alluded to the fact that perhaps fitness will play an important part in the second 40 minutes. Would you say so?
I think so, but if they can get off to a good start in the second stanza, if they can score exceptionally quickly, then I think they're back in this game. They had a very young side, so it isn't as though there's many old ones out there that are going to run out of steam, but it's going to be very, very interesting. Hull KR, as far as I'm concerned, have played exceptionally well.
They got the first try of the evening too, didn't they? And this was Wayne Jackson.
Yeah, it was a beautiful player. You've got to understand that Parker is a very, very classy player, and that's a way to go onto it. Look how that big forward goes flying through. Superb play.
But Leigh, credit them, and all youngsters in this Leigh side, they hit back, and Paul Rowley with a superb try for them, well, showing exactly what they can do.
Well, with the run around as well, you see, look at that, and that's the way that you've got to just support. the hooker there coming onto it. It was a good run there from the prop forward, but he's a very talented hooker and took the opportunity. They bounced back exceptionally well.
And again, it was the huge kick from Parker that produced the next try. You've got to feel sorry for the Leigh full-back Webster, but Hutchinson was there to take full control in the end, because a quick play of the ball and they were in total disarray.
Well, that's a problem, isn't it? But the runners up front, they would allow, the referee allowed it to go on, and as far as I'm concerned, it was a nightmare. It's been a bit of a nightmare for the full-back, David Webster, and the ball quickly out wide, and they take full advantage of it. Rob Hutchinson just taking the 4 points there. That was at a point where I thought perhaps Leigh were going to flake. I honestly thought that they looked very, very tired, but they came back.
They did come back. But these two sides, as we say, the tension, I suppose, will play a part in it as the evening unfolds. Leigh, I think we all will accept they're gone. But Rovers, well, they've got to win to put pressure on Oldham and Wakefield, haven't they, above
That's
them?
right. Yeah, it's so important that, of course, Hull Kingston Rovers do get those 2 points. As I mentioned during the first half, the fact that Leigh, they realise they're doomed to the second division. I feel that they've got nothing to lose. They've got a young side that can just throw the ball around. Steve Sims, of course, is a very, very good coach, and he has to look towards next season. And as I mentioned before, again, is the fact that 6 of these players could actually play in the academy. That's under the under-19s.
And he has a little nugget in Dean Hanger, his Australian centre. Just watch this run from him all the way down the touchline, and he defies the pain barrier too, doesn't he? Not only the defence.
Mike Fletcher just swings the arm across him there. It's a swinging arm, much in despair, really, caught it in the rib cage. But that was well taken there by Dean Hanger. He saw that the defence was really bad on the blind side and took full advantage of it.
This is the try that gives Hull Kingston Rovers the 2010 advantage from Sean Ho. Again, the chip over the top, more confusion.
Well, it was a good chip from Fletcher, the full-back, but I'm afraid that poor Webster was put under a lot of pressure by 2 of his own players. They were supposed to actually stand back and shield him, but what they did was actually run into the full-back, and I'm afraid that offered the standoff Ho a very, very easy 4 points.
Well, George Fairbairn has been watching up here on the gantry alongside us. I'm sure he has picked out exactly what we have just seen during our half-time analysis. Hull Kingston Rovers ahead then by 20 points to 10, and Rovers desperate for the victory. 20-10 they lead. Who's for the second half? Find out after these.
You're watching Sky Sports.
Half-time here at New Craven Park then. Hull Kingston Rovers ahead by 20 points to 10. Just what the doctor, George Fairbairn, will have ordered. And Sean Ho, who scored the 3rd of the Rovers' tries, it was his first try in a match since that try last season here at New Craven Park. So he enjoys playing against Leigh. Vital 40 minutes to come in the Stonesborough Championship at the bottom of the table. Hull Kingston Rovers 20, Leigh 10. Vital that Rovers maintain that scoreline and go on to increase it between now and the final siren. They are desperate for the points. Points that will put pressure on Oldham and Wakefield above them as the scramble to avoid the drop goes on. It's worth pointing up, actually, that to come, Hull Kingston Rovers have home games against Sheffield Eagles and Wigan, and they are away at Hull in the local derby on Good Friday, Featherstone and Widnes. Not the easiest of run-ins when you're trying to avoid the big drop. But that's good play. Great run, Sean Ho, eventually brought to ground by Dean Hanger. Parker in the engine room. It's Harrison.
Obviously the Rovers coach, George Fairbairn, would have said to his side, let's get off to a flying start, let's score again, and really demoralise this Leigh side.
There's the high kick that caused such confusion in the first half, but that one went straight up in the air, and again it's caused problems for Leigh, and Costello has been ruled to be offside.
Well, it just touched Scott Martin's fingertips there. I'm not so sure that the big prop forward was all that much in front, if at all. Well, a look of disgust on the standoff, Scott Martin.
He went for the high kick, missed it. It bounced off him. Referee Russell Smith, bang on the spot, ruled that Costello was standing in front. And so it's a penalty to Rovers. Again, right in front. This time, though, not wind assisted for Mike Fletcher. It doesn't particularly matter whether it's wind assisted or not. Fletcher's in fine form with the boot, and Rovers lead by 22 from 10, and it's 5 from 5 for Fletcher. So Mike Fletcher's penalty goal increases the lead. He got 7 against Leigh here last season. Bang on course to repeat that feat here tonight. Richard Oliver cornered by the Leigh chasers. Craig O'Brien saw Mark Meadows coming, hurtling at him, ducked under the challenge. Mike Fletcher with the run. He's so important to them, isn't he, Fletcher? 26 years old. Record point scorer in a season and record goal scorer in a season too. Great servant.
Oh, he read it well there. Quick play the ball on the blind side. Leigh were expecting the big forwards to come right out towards the wing. Switch of play by the halfback, Richard Chamberlain.
Parker, another kick, left-footed this time. Webster's underneath it. He's watching it carefully, and he takes it. But as he took it, he was clobbered by Glancy.
Well taken. A bit of a nightmare, accepting the high kick. There was no panic there on that occasion.
Andy Cheetham, the winger. No way through for him. Sean Ho is there. Harrison was there too. Now Meadows. Good tackling though by Glancy. Here's Costello. Last tackle for Leigh. They're still in their own half. Ball now with Gunning. Trying to kick it away to relieve the pressure, but straight into the arms of Oliver.
Not the best kick there from John Gunning. Tried to split the defence, but it went right down the throat of the winger, Richard Oliver.
Bibby, 10 metres in his own half. Parker to Harrison.
Oh, swinging punch there.
From Gunning, he didn't like something that was going on. Harrison wouldn't take the tackle. 3 of them lying on. Russell Smith, with all the patience in the world, says play on, but then he gets them for offside.
Well, this is the incident. That's a little bit of a push with the head. Here he comes. Getting all excited, his little halfback.
George Fairbairn watching from up here on the gantry, bird's eye view. All coaches these days like to get elevated to watch their teams in action, and he's watching as Glancy runs this ball in on the first tackle. 5 minutes, second half gone.
You'd love to be elevated a little bit up that first division table as well.
Paul Fletcher twisting, turning in the tackle, grounded on the 20-metre line.
But he should be happy with the way Rovers are playing. Just get the impression that the big forwards are now running out wide a bit more.
Harrison, legs were pumping, stopped by Costello. Parker. That's a good ball to the second row, O'Brien. Good tackling from Meadows, no one in front. And O'Brien trying to go it alone. Yes, they need 2 points here tonight to Rovers with that awful run-in they've got. The attempted drop goal was charged down by Rowley. And it's 6 to go here for Rovers. Harrison has retained possession for them. It was Wayne Jackson who had the attempted one-pointer. Chamberlain, Jackson's there again. He got the first, he's dropped it this time. And it was stolen, penalty.
No doubt about it, the hooker, Paul Rowley, getting involved onto the prop forward. Do you see the right arm dragging the ball down? Referee Russell Smith, Johnny on the spot, could see it all.
So Wayne Jackson, who began the try scoring for Hulkingston Rovers, fancying his chances, driving towards the line. Ball stolen from him in the tackle, illegal. Penalty, the decision from referee Russell Smith. Rowley conceding the penalty. And so Mike Fletcher with the chance to increase his tally. 5 from 5, 100% record so far. Oh, make that 6 from 6. Fletcher is in a rich vein of form tonight with the boot. 24-10, 14 points, the difference.
They'll be happy with that. It's the second occasion they've made inroads into the league quarter, come away with 2 points. This is the replay, no doubt about it. Rowley, right arm, dragging the ball away.
Now Richard Oliver will run it back, and that was a high tackle on Richard Oliver, the swinging arm. Meadows was in there, and so too was Paul Daniel. Meadows camped in for the night.
Well, he's only a slight fellow, Oliver there, and there you can see the swinging arm. Mark Meadows, crunch time.
I think Oliver knew that was coming. Fear written all over his face. Russell Smith laying down the law to Mark Meadows.
Well, one could hardly laugh. Big lump of a boy, isn't he, Mark Meadows? Getting the law laid down to him by Russell Smith, and rightly so.
Oldest man in the Leigh side at 28, Mark Meadows, formerly with Oldham. First try for Leigh came in the win at Bradford 2 weeks ago. Every penalty that Fletcher has taken tonight has been placed on the ground. And that's the reason why. Good kicking. He's playing really well, isn't he?
Not a bad idea either, is it? Keeps his eye in for the actual penalty attempts and conversion attempts.
Rovers then in possession, a club with their best days behind them, champions of the First Division in 1979, 84 and 85, halcyon days under Roger Millward. And if they can get away from the bottom of the big league this season, who knows what the future holds for them under George Fairbairn. But they were Challenge Cup winners in the 80s too, Regal winners, finalists, Premiership winners. They won the lot.
Nice bit of play there by Wayne Park. A little chip over. He thought that Leigh did not have a sweeper, but full credit to David Webster. He moved up quickly. And Leigh full back.
Meadows, good tackling by Paul Fletcher.
You can see how the Rovers defence is moving up quickly out wide. They're forcing Leigh to play one-out football all the time.
Screams for the forward pass as Scott Martin held on. Rowley, Gunning, chip over the top from Gunning, but that's going to go out on the full. That sails high, wide, and I'm afraid not too handsome.
They've just lost their way, I'm afraid, of Leigh now. A little bit of frustration coming into the game this early in the second half, giving away silly penalties. And there we saw the mistakes. That must be pretty high. Mistake count on the Leigh side.
Julian Barkworth almost through, Hanger and Rowley doing the tackling. Chamberlain to Parker, to Sean Ho. This now is Paul Fletcher, that's a good ball, Bibby, but was he hauled back high? No, the referee says play on.
It looked it to me, Mark Sarsfield seemed to go above the shoulder. Whether Russell Smith is just allowing play on, I don't know.
Two Leigh subs warming up. Mike Blakely in 14 and Mike Neal in 15. Another high kick meanwhile to test this Leigh defence. Cheetham comes up with it. Good take by Andy Cheetham. Rob Hutchinson putting pressure on him. Gunning with the scuttling little run but going nowhere. Good work by Hutchinson from the marker position. Now this is Daniel trying to run it out. They're working hard, the Rovers. And they're forcing the errors from Leigh. The error count is obviously creeping up from the bottom club.
Well, you can see that Simon Baldwin had never had control of that. And that's been brought about by some very good tackling.
Costello's tackle was not very good. And Julian Barkworth felt that and has been turned over on his side. But the challenge from Costello was heavy, to say the least.
Swinging right arm, perhaps hit the ball again. Goes into it, right in front of Russell Smith. The crowd don't like it. Few words being spoken now.
It possibly looked a lot worse than it was on first sight. Seeing it on our replay, as you say, hit the ball in the chest and then came up. But Barkworth is still down and receiving treatment. Here it is again.
Yeah, the head went back, but I think the first impact was perhaps on the ball. I think perhaps that is the reason why the prop forward is staying out on the paddock. They really have lost their way, haven't they? They've not been allowed to get into the swing of things this second half. Put that down to some tigerish defence from the Rovers.
Barkworth, meanwhile, receiving treatment. Penalty to Rovers, and Leigh have made those two changes. Bill Arthur?
Yes, on come Mike Blakely and Mike Neal, and meanwhile Hull KR are getting ready to bring on Nick Halafihi. It looks as though Julian Barkworth is going to come off, having taken that knock. Halafihi is stripped off, and Barkworth still looking a bit groggy, so looks as though he's going to come off, although he hasn't yet, and Halafihi's going back to the bench.
As Mike Fletcher prepares to take this penalty attempt, and he's kicked another. 7 out of 7 for Mike Fletcher tonight. A full house, and he claps the hands and tries to encourage even more effort from the Rovers. Substitute Mike Blakely to restart, brother of Salford Steve Blakely, who we saw on the big league last Friday in the mud and the rain of Salford. But Steve-O, such a psychologically important blow the Rovers are striking here over Oldham and Wakefield, who I'm sure are watching this match tonight with keen interest at home.
And so they should, especially with this man. He's having a wow of a game. Loves to link into the three-quarter line. They're playing with a lot more confidence. An interference there at the play of the ball, but it's going to be a knock-on. Just a little one from the hooker, Richard Chamberlain, but he has the chance to perhaps strike one against the head. Pretty rare.
So Blakely fed the scrum. He has taken over from Gunning, and he has found Scott Martin. Leigh need a try on the board here, and quickly too. Baldwin, under pressure from Paul Fletcher and Chamberlain. Rowley, the dummy half. And Scott Martin again.
Well, all the work that they put out on the training paddock, this is where they need it. Put the set moves on.
Rowley darting away from dummy half. There's the substitute. It was Neal. It was a good ball to Sarsfield. Pratt is the acting halfback. Back to Blakely. Along the line, they're calling for it out wide. They found Hanger. That's great tackling, though. Wonderful tackle from Julian Barkworth, fully recovered from that bang in the mouth. Here's Blakely again. Dabs the ball forward, left-footed. Parker lets it run to the in-goal area. Yeah, playing football there, aren't they? That's good play from Rovers. Hutchinson was risky business, but Hutchinson with the strength to withstand the tacklers. That was legal. That strike for the ball from Meadows. The ball was on the floor, and he can kick for it.
And he did, but was he standing square at the play of the ball? Look at that. Didn't look square to me, but I'm not the whistleblower.
Rovers in possession. Jackson. That was a risky pass, and it's come Back for Rowley of Leigh. Live wire little hooker. In France with the academy team last Sunday. Paul Rowley played in all 4 tests this season. Sarsfield puts the ball away to Pratt. 3 of them bring him down, force him back a metre or 2 as well. Good defence, Rovers.
Well, it's amazing to see Rovers tackle so well tonight. They've conceded so many points in defence. Really, they've got it right tonight.
They have indeed. They have a worse defensive record than Leigh. Martin. But this is sound and solid defence from Rovers. Rowley again, the acting halfback. Blakely and Webster the fullback. He gives it to Dean Hanger.
Oh, it was far too flat there. There was no chance he could get through a sliding defence. They were all stood still, no one running onto the football, and that is far too long.
The kick downfield diffused behind his own try line. Mike Fletcher can play a tap from his own 20-metre mark, and he wants to get on with it quickly. Here's Barkwood round the corner to Hutchinson. Hutchinson almost away from Mike Blakely, but not quite. Paul Fletcher to Parker, to Wayne Jackson. Harrison, the roaring run down the touchline from Harrison. And it was only Costello by the shirt collar and then Pratt moving in who brought him down. Rovers on the charge here. Good play from Parker. Just hanging on. Chamberlain clapping his hands, shouting, come on, let's get on with it. Here's Mike Fletcher. Trying to dart through the gap. The gap suddenly disappeared. They attack the other way. Drop goal attempt again, this time from Harrison. Another one charged down. The ball went backwards. It's play on, says referee Smith.
Well, I'm not so sure that was charged down. I don't think the Leigh player realised what was happening. Bounced off his head. As it turned out, Leigh came up with possession. It did go backwards.
Meadows.
Just to clear up the confusion of the charge down, if you make an attempt, you have to attempt to go for the ball. The ball strikes you. See clearly here. Well, he did make an attempt, did put his arm up into it. My apologies, but you must make an attempt for it to be an official charge down.
Last tackle here for Leigh. Good defence again from Rovers. But now, what can Gareth Pratt do? Bounces away from 2 tackles, but can't get away from the 3rd. That's good play again from Rovers. The defence is sound, Steve-O, isn't it? Despite the fact they've conceded over 600 points.
Well, it's amazing. They were caught a couple of times in the first half. And I'm sure that their coach, George Fairbairn, even though they went in at half-time with a comfortable lead, said, let's have more of the same and let's keep abreast of things. Leigh do have some firepower, even though it's a young side. Dean Hanger, John Gunning, Scott Martin, they're all capable of some individual brilliance.
That's good play. The ball was slipped out and Rovers can keep the movement going. Barkworth looking for support. Great tackle coming in from Webster, the fullback, who'd moved up. The good job he did too. Here's Sean Ho. That's poor play. Paul Fletcher couldn't hang on to it. And Leigh have it back.
Well, he dummied, didn't he? Standoff dummied. The ball came a little bit later. The loose forward Fletcher, not much chance. He's gone past the point where the ball should have been.
David Webster, the acting halfback, he's the 7th player to wear that fullback jersey this year for Leigh. And I suppose mirrors the problems that Steve Sims has had to get a settled side for the big league. 19 matches before they registered their first win. Use of the elbow on Mike Blakely. It was Craig O'Brien who's been pulled out. Leigh getting on with it quickly. Simon Baldwin.
That was silly play by the second row, Craig O'Brien. They're in control of this game. To give Leigh a chance and get back into the Rovers half. Just losing the marbles, I'm afraid, there.
Leigh in possession. Webster. Now, he scored against Warrington on Tuesday night, but that's good tackling from Barkworth. Steve Sims, the enthusiastic Australian coach, watching on anxiously. as Blakely plays the ball into Costello.
Well, they're running onto the ball a little bit more enthusiastic. That's what they needed. They're standing far too flat.
The dab forward. And Parker ran touch in goal. It was a nice little chip through by Scott Martin.
There's a sweeper, Wayne Parker, an experienced player. Really has positioned himself well. There's the coach, George Fairburn. He should be quite happy with the scoreline at 26-10.
Passing the information down about a substitution. It's Craig O'Brien who has gone off, and Nick Halafihi, the former London Crusader, who comes on, number 15. Another little testing name for us, Steve-O. The Hull Kingston Rovers substitute.
Halafihi.
That'll do.
But I passed the test. Not a bad player either. Played some good games for the London Crusaders in the past. Well, that was a real mess-up. That should have been a penalty. Now, Rovers really have got to consolidate now. They don't have to panic. That's wonderful football.
And juggling skills on show there. Driving run from Jackson. He's got the referee to beat as well. The ball in field. And there was nowhere for Richard Oliver to go. It was a forward pass anyway. So the referee has pulled it all back for a scrum.
Super play, though, by Wayne Parker. And a good run from the prop forward, Wayne Jackson. Went like a Centurion tank, crunch time.
A little bit like the proverbial curate's egg, this performance from Hull Kingston Rovers, isn't it? It's good in parts.
Oh, it's not going right, is it? Mike Blakely just cannot believe it. Not happy with it either. Substitution about to be made.
And Craig O'Brien, it's number 12, Paul Daniel, who is coming on for Leigh. And it's Mark Sarsfield who is coming off. Sarsfield, who didn't play out the full match when Rovers met Leigh at Hilton Park. He was sent off after only 3 minutes. It's bad play.
Well, Mike Bibby, the pass was superb from Wayne Parker. He ran the angle, brought him back inside. A few unforced errors coming on the Rovers side now.
Just over a quarter of an hour of this match to go. And it's 26-10 on the scoreboard. The error count is Hull Kingston Rovers have made 11 and Leigh have made 10. 21 errors in this match. Indicative, really, of the fact that we're watching the two bottom sides of the championship. But they're putting on a spirited display for all of that. Webster with that run. Last tackle for Leigh. Rowley finds Mark Meadows, who finds Dean Hanger. Hanger trying to escape the clutches of Rovers, but on the last tackle he couldn't do so. They'd have been better to hoist the high kick, wouldn't they?
Well, that's the second occasion that it's been a handover. They just lost their way a little bit. Gives the impression that perhaps no one's taking control on the Leigh side. It's all about building your confidence, someone taking charge, taking control. We've seen that from the Rovers side from Wayne Parker. He really has run the show.
There he is again. Good long pass to Jackson. Jackson trying to run over the top of the Leigh players. Another good ball. Paul Fletcher gets the ball away. This is Oliver, and he has some pace. He'll go round Webster, and he'll go round under the sticks to touchdown to make the conversion a formality. And that is Richard Oliver's first of the season in this, his first appearance since January. Great speed off the mark from the Rovers winger.
This is a beautiful passage of play and a superb pass from a loose forward. Paul Fletcher on the blind side. Look at this, drawing the attack, the defence, sorry, and this man, Richard Oliver. Yes, you can have another bowl. Excellent play, superb speed, but put that down to the loose forward, Paul Fletcher. Superb pass round the men.
Yes, Richard Oliver, tremendous try that. Played in 5 successive matches, December, January, including a defeat at St Helens on Skye. Now 7 from 7 for Mike Fletcher, and in a second or two, once the ball is placed firmly on the little mountain, I was going to say little mountain of sand, but Mike Fletcher of the old school, using the heel. And the wind is obviously getting up. He requires some assistance and has called up the substitute Halafihi. Rovers meanwhile make a change, and Wayne Parker deservedly goes off. Mike Crane comes on. The fingertip control for Mike Fletcher, and Fletcher makes it 7 from 7 and increases the lead 32 points to 10. It's 8 from 8, I beg your pardon.
There you see it, 2 going for 1, result a gap, and when the gap goes away, you've got the speed. Sit back, enjoy this. Can't he go? He really put on the gas.
32 to 10 then, 8 from 8 for Mike Fletcher. Let's just point up that fact again. Great form with the kicking for Mike Fletcher tonight. And it looks like Rovers are going to get their wish and get the 2 points to take them to 3rd place from bottom in the table. Just let's confirm the substitution for you. Wayne Parker's done a wonderful job tonight, and he's replaced by Mike Crane. Last appearance against St Helens on Skye in December. Craig O'Brien, one of the Hull Kingston Rovers heroes tonight, with Bill Arthur.
Craig, well, that try seems to have wrapped it up for you. Do you see it that way?
I hope so, yeah. It's been a good effort by the lads. And at half-time, we're still disappointed that we let 10 sloppy points in. But we've come out determined, both halves, and I hope we've proved a few people wrong, and we'll put the points on the board and got the 2 points, hopefully.
I bet there were a few nerves beforehand.
Sorry?
Barkworth knocks on. He had the chance to really wrap this match up. A wonderful crossfield kick. He just couldn't hang on. The bounce beats him. But so close, Julian Barkworth, to increasing the lead.
You can't believe it. Barkworth had every opportunity to drag that in, but it was a woeful attempt, I'm afraid, from the Leigh defence. 2 players calling for the same ball, allowing it to bounce.
The kicks downfield have wreaked havoc, haven't they, for Leigh? They really have.
Well, it's been a problem, as you mentioned, for the Leigh side. Dave Webster, the fullback tonight, one of many throughout the season.
And Hutchinson here so close to an interception try.
Well, when you've got a comfortable lead, you can take that sort of gamble. That was good, a good move from the Rovers coach George Fairbairn, in my book. Take off Wayne Parker. The game's already won. He knows how important the next few games are.
They are indeed. First Division survival the key. Let's go back downstairs. Craig O'Brien. We so rudely interrupted him.
I should imagine, Craig, there was a fair amount of nerves in the Rovers dressing room before this one.
I think there was a little bit, really, but we've prepared really well this week. George has taken out for a couple of hours this afternoon, settled our nerves and everything, built the confidence up, and we've come out to the new Caring Park tonight, and hopefully we've done the job what he wanted us to do.
Well, this result will take you to 3rd from bottom. It's not safety, but you're heading in the right direction.
Definitely, yeah. I hope my brother selected for Featherstone again this Sunday, and he can do me a favour. If there is, I'll get him a couple of pounds next week, definitely. If I can get a win at Watershed in Featherstone, I'll really make the weekend for us.
It's a family affair, the big league, isn't it? Oh, another kick downfield causing havoc this time for Hull Kingston Rovers. Oliver was nowhere near that. and they've been pulled back for offside of Rovers too. So Leigh are back in possession. Scott Martin looking round again for the supporters. Nobody was there. I think they're running out of steam, Leigh, after their exploits against Warrington on Tuesday.
They won't give in, though, especially when they've got a talented player like Paul Rowley there.
Or when they've got John Costello, who gets over for the try. And just when it looked like Leigh were running out of gas, Rovers just leave the door open.
Quick play of the ball, and the big prop forward running at the angle, and nice step. That really is a very good step for a big fella. Look at that, off the right foot. They're held off, and he has the strength. Quick pass, beautiful pass from Rowley, right from the base. Look at the strength there. Poor Mike Fletcher. Nothing you can do about that.
Mike Blakely just jogging back, the substitute. He's the man now taking the conversions and finding the mark, despite slipping as he kicked the ball. So an extra 6 for Leigh. 32-16. Hull Kingston Rovers will be glad to get this game out of the way. They haven't won here at New Craven Park since they beat their local rivals Hull over Christmas. So it's a big night for them in many ways, isn't it? That's a bad error from Webster. Let the ball bounce when he should really have taken it on the full. This will be a Leigh dropout.
Well, indecision. It's been another problem for the Leigh side tonight. Two players calling for it. Second row, Paul Daniel. And the fullback, David Webster. In fairness to Webster, he's tried hard in... oh, that's an awful mistake.
Yes, it was Simon Baldwin with the dropout under the sticks. It sailed out on the wind on the full, and it's going to be a penalty from bang in front of the sticks.
Well, the crowd don't like it, but professionalism is what it's all about. The crowd wanted more points. Run the ball.
Well, they're going to get 2 more, and let's face it, if it's 2 points at the end of the day that decides points difference between them staying up and going down, without getting the slide rule out, I don't know whether that will be the case, but if it is, they'll look back and say, well, perhaps Mike Fletcher took the right decision. $34 points to 16. Short kick-off, but that was a pattern of play, Steve-O, that mirrored the fact that these two sides are struggling at the wrong end of the table.
Much enterprise. Defensive problems on both sides before this game. I'm afraid for Leigh, it's continued. The Rovers can look forward to the fact that they've worked hard. Only a couple of times they've been caught napping. The sliding defence, one line of defence has been good.
5 minutes plus anything the timekeepers add on for stoppages. There was precious little of that in the first half. Now Hutchinson. Barkworth was trying to dart through the gap.
Let's not forget also that if you take away the actual goals that...
oh, I don't know whether that was a knock-on. Fletcher looked to me like he'd kept fingertip control.
He did, didn't he? Well, never left his fingers as far as I'm concerned. Still, referees are human. Yeah, getting back to that point, Eddie. Take away the goals that Mike Fletcher's kicked, and went in with a close game.
He's kicked 9 from 9, hasn't he? That's 18 points. Come on, you're better at maths than I am. Webster, Leigh keeping it going to the end. Come on, use your fingers.
Thank God there's only 6 tackles.
This is Simon Baldwin. Rowley to the winger Cheetham.
Well, let's hope that Leigh can finish off with a bit of a flourish.
They're doing that now. Oh, well, I was going to say they're doing that now. That's a huge kick downfield. And there's a push by the loose forward, Simon Baldwin, who hoofed that ball downfield. It looked like it was sailing out of the ground. He was never anywhere near it, was he?
No, good decision, though, by the referee, Russell Smith. See the loose forward, Baldwin going through, made no attempt to try to retake that football. His intent was on the fullback, Mike Fletcher. Don't forget, live and exclusive, Good Friday at 12. St Helens versus Wigan. What a classic game that should be.
Off you go. Easter Monday, Leeds Halifax at 11 a.m. Live and exclusive. A big Easter for you. And don't forget the Academy Cup this Sunday. It's Leigh against St Helens, Sunday morning at 8:30. That was the curtain raiser to this evening's match, and believe me, that is a cracker of a match. Here's Sean Ho. By the way, we haven't had an answer to you to the mathematical problem we set you earlier. 18 points for Hull Kingston Rovers. Take that away, and we would have had a close game.
Can't get any closer than a draw.
Well done. Hutchinson stepping through and crowning the night. His second of the game. Rob Hutchinson confirms that Hull Kingston Rovers take a step up the league ladder tonight.
And step is the operative word. The dummy out there, and the strength, the dummy there, and watch this. That's the step, that's all it needed. Inside, points to the crowd. Yes, he's the hero, okay. Nice taken try. A very tired, depleted Leigh side in defence now.
And 10 out of 10 goals for Mike Fletcher. The points are Hull Kingston Rovers. It's their biggest win of the season now. 40 points to 16. Exactly what they wanted up here on Humberside. Another mistake from Leigh from the kickoff. Out on the full again. They have conspired to their own downfall.
It's been a nightmare for them in that department. It's about the third or fourth time that has occurred. So many unforced errors. But this young side will learn. It's all about experience, and perhaps it's a bit of a hard way to learn.
Mike Fletcher, 10 out of 10, the first time he's ever kicked 10 from 10 in the first division in the big league. Alafihi. Paul Fletcher has gone off, meanwhile, for Hull Kingston Rovers to be replaced by Craig O'Brien, who was talking to us earlier. Glancy's ball inside is picked up by Collier. Collier is grounded on the 20-metre zone. They're approaching the end of normal time. It's a victory for Hull Kingston Rovers. Their best of the season. Baldwin, though, will not give up for Leigh. Credit this young side. They have kept it going. Their second match in the week. Pratt unloads. This is Blakely.
It was always going to be a major facet tonight, wasn't it? Could the youngsters overcome that midweek game and last the full 80 minutes? Well, I think they've added to their own downfall with a lot of errors. But they must be out on their feet in these dying minutes.
Last tackle here for Leigh, just inside their own half. Blakely, that's the full-time siren. Next tackle, this match will be over. Blakely goes down in the challenge. I thought that was the full-time siren. It was a siren from the crowd. They've had enough of this, but we haven't. We're carrying on. We've had a minute of stoppage time.
Either that or is the ferry overseas. Either way, a few seconds remaining surely. This will be a huge confidence boost for the Rovers. They've thrown the gauntlet down. They're fighting to stay in Division 1.
Harrison has worked as hard as any all evening. Halafihi just getting to his feet. Ho. Second rower is O'Brien, back on the field, just playing out time. Last tackle. They've been hammered a few times by over 40 points themselves, Hull Kingston Rovers. Tonight they've turned the tables. And luckily there for Leigh, Rowley was on hand to pick up the pieces as that ball was spilled. High kick. The kicks have certainly caused Leigh some problems tonight.
Once again, you see this Rovers defence moving up quickly, even though they hold that comfortable lead. Really have lifted their game in defence. I've been also been impressed with the way the big pack has worked hard together.
That is the full-time siren, no mistaking this time. And Rob Hutchins